What's up, good people? This is the Truth Is podcast. And today we're going to touch on a topic that's a little touchy, but that's what we do up here. You know, first and foremost, we need you to go to that YouTube and hit that little subscribe button on the lower right-hand corner. Subscribe so you get the updates with the new sessions that come out. But anyway, today we have the normal crew. We have Sonia, we have Pop, we got Anita, and we have a special guest today, Talitha. So we are so happy to have her. So we're really going to go into this divorce topic. This will be several episodes because it's a lot to cover, and we don't want to talk your ear off for too long. So we're going to start off with Sonia. You know, what's your take and what questions you have for Talitha, our special guest today?
Well, hello, everybody, Truth Nation. I'm so happy to have my sister Talitha here to share her story concerning life after divorce. So my question for you, Talitha, is how has it been since your divorce? How have you chose to move on? What steps have you taken?
Okay, so this is called The Truth Is.
Truth is.
So I would say the truth is that it was difficult. Life after divorce was difficult because reality set in that
Okay.
I'm divorced. There are friends, we're all friends, family here at this table, and this is something that we never anticipated. Looking back, I realized that divorce was necessary.
Okay.
The truth is that it was ordained by God, just as my marriage was ordained.
Wow.
It's some things that you have to go through. There's no avoiding it.
Truth.
That's the truth about it. And so I look back and I say to myself, was this all a mistake? And as a faith believer, God told me absolutely not.
Okay.
It was for my growth. It was for my development. And it was for me to be able to speak to another young lady or even a young man
Yes.
who may have been dealing with the same thing.
Let me interrupt you 1 second, Talitha. Before we go into what is done and that it was ordained, I would like to know more. How long was you married? How many children came out of this marriage? What was the process of you deciding that you're gonna get divorced? So first, like, how long were you married?
Okay, so I was married for a total of 17 years, but I was together with my ex for 22 years. And out of that union was 4 children.
4 children?
Yes.
Okay.
And so
3 boys?
3 boys and 1 girl. They're all grown now, thank God.
Absolutely.
I have no regrets. If I could have 8 children, I would add 8.
Wow.
I love children, and I'm thankful for the ones that was given to me or lent to me. How should I say? So in regards to what prompted me to get the divorce?
Was it one day you just went and said, I'm going to get divorced? Or it was within 10 years you thought about, maybe this marriage is not working. Should I go get a divorce? Or the 17th year, one day in May, you said, I'm going to get a divorce. That's it.
Gotcha. So I never wanted to get a divorce. It was never in my DNA to get a divorce.
Right.
All I knew was once you get married, that's what it is for life.
Right. A lot of people think that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that my parents did a great job at instilling that in me early.
Right. Right.
It was like you go to school, you get married, and that's it. You have kids, and that's it. It's no such thing as getting a divorce. A divorce was not a part of the equation. It wasn't a part of our faith.
Right.
That wasn't what we lived by, our biblical principles.
Right.
And if you thought that you was going to get a divorce, your husband was still your husband.
Right. Right.
Even if you got a divorce.
Right.
So I never anticipated that would happen. But as I always say, that having my kids was a great experience, and even though I didn't want it, having a divorce was a great experience too, because it allowed me to see who I was as
Right.
a person
Yeah.
and
Right.
who I was not.
Okay.
Because once I got divorced, literally in my house, I wasn't a person of many like items like clothing. I wasn't into that. I was more so concerned about making sure everybody else was good. So when things went left and I'm in a room and the room is almost vacant, and I'm like, well, what the hell belongs to me in here?
Right,
Like, so not only was the room vacant, my mind, my heart, it was like, you know, everything was shattered. And so I was like, where do I start? Who am I? I just started questioning everything.
Did you get married early?
I did. I got married when I was 19 and I had my first child when I was 20.
Okay.
Yeah. So what prompted me to get a divorce was
Right.
I felt like 5 years before the divorce, it was already divorced. I was already divorced.
Okay.
And I say that because I felt like I tried so hard to make things work and it just wasn't working.
Right.
But I was never going to give up because that wasn't a part of my character.
right.
It was no such thing as giving up. That meant that I quit, and there was nothing I ever quit on.
Right.
So about maybe in my, I guess, like I said, whatever, I'm not good with remembering years, but like I said, 5 years before the divorce, I felt like it was over, but I still was going to give it a chance.
Right.
And in me giving it a chance, I started to see the world differently. And I was growing in my career, and I started to develop as a woman in my mind and realizing that I was better than what I was actually getting from my spouse. And so I felt like I was going to give it a chance, and I was going to move when, you know, I'm going to say how I feel it, when God said move.
Right.
And I didn't know how he was going to say, you know, this was going to go, but certain things transpired that it left me with no choice. And so that's exactly really how it all happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Talitha, I think we're the only divorced ones at this table, but I'm newly divorced, and I can identify with a lot that you've said here. And my question to you would be, being that I am new, it's difficult trying to figure out who you are, what you're supposed to be doing, what now, what next. You know, you have your children, and my children are grown just like yours, but, you know, they're always going to be your kids. But how did you go about living again? How do you start living as Talitha?
Not as someone's wife.
Yeah.
Right.
And that is, you know, you're always going to be mom,
Right.
you know, but how do you start living again? Who is Talitha? How did you figure this out?
You know what's so funny? It's nothing that's so prolific. It's just that I started watching TV. I started looking at the internet. And I started to look at things, well, what do I like? What do I want to do? Do I want to do that? Do I want to be adventurous? Do I want to, you know, go to school? Do I like red? Do I like blue? What color do I like? What foods do I like? I started to think about, do I like hiking?
Right.
Do I like bungee jumping?
Right.
You know, snorkeling.
Crazy
What is it
stuff.
that I want to do. You know,
Right,
and
right.
that's really where I started. And in not knowing where to start, I knew that although I'm not physically fit, I went to CrossFit.
Okay.
I started there.
Okay.
I felt like everything starts in your mind.
Yes.
So I said, let me get my mind right, then you get your body right,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything will follow
Fall
into
after
place,
that.
yes.
So the thing that I can say to you is just give yourself time. Give yourself time to figure out what you like. A lot of times we want change to happen quickly because we want to get out of the space that we're in.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and we want to know what that next move looks like, or how do we transition into it. And sometimes it may take more time than you think it's going to take. It took me I would say at least a good 3 to 5 years
Wow.
to get it together.
Wow.
Well, again, I'm new, so it's like really literally just a year for me, and I was like you, trying to make it happen, trying to make it work. No matter what, I'm fighting for mine. But things kept transpiring that was against me, you know. And for me, I knew because I had tried 5 years prior to also.
Wow.
I filled out the paperwork. I did everything.
Grace
the only
period.
thing, the only thing I
Yeah.
did, the only thing I didn't do was have it notarized and send it off. But I had the paperwork. It was all filled out. I was ready. But I realized at that moment I wasn't ready. You know, because it was just too emotional for me. So like you, I had the same experience with my parents. They fought it through. It didn't matter how good or bad it was. They was not separated, you know. And so therefore, I knew when it happened for me, it was gonna be something stupid. So that's what it was. I just woke up one day and I said, "Today's the day. I'm gonna do it." And it was on my birthday.
Wow.
Wow.
I said, "It's a new beginning for me." So I'm gonna start on my birthday. On my birthday, I went and I tried to file again, but my paperwork was dated. So I still went to do it, and the lady said, "Okay, we can do it," but she notarized it and everything. But the problem was, I was trying to file where I used to live, in the town that I used to live, and since I had relocated, I couldn't do it there. So that's when I ended up getting a lawyer. But what would you tell someone who's contemplating? Because Truth Nation, don't get it twisted, we're not advocates for divorce.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
I don't know about you, Talitha, I love marriage.
We also are not advocates for marriage.
Truth.
I'm not pushing marriage
No, I'm not pushing that
or
on no-
divorce.
Or
True.
nobody.
I'm not pushing that
On
on nobody.
nobody.
I ain't trying to tell nobody what to do.
But we just trying to give you options.
Absolutely.
Just want to know. Listen,
Absolutely. I get it.
you run it. Oh, they say marriage is okay. You run into marriage, and you'll be on Truth Is as our next guest.
Absolutely.
So, in our culture, in the Christian culture, in the church culture, they don't talk about divorce a lot. But I have a lot of questions because I am not divorced, but I was a child of divorce.
Okay.
So you said how long you said you've been divorced?
2011.
Wow.
So your children,
years,
I want to know the effect that divorce had on your children, being that you had boys, you're a woman, you had a daughter, and her father. Like, how did they take it? Because when I was a child going through divorce, I was trying to figure out which parent was right and wrong, and my attitude toward the parent was based on who I felt was right or wrong at that time. So I would like to know how you dealt with that.
So what I did was I spoke to initially my older child, and I let him know exactly where I was and some of the things that happened. Even though at the time he was only 15, I shared some things with him because I knew that he was mature enough
To
to
handle
even
it.
understand
Right.
where I was coming from. So I initially shared it with him, and then I broke it down to the rest of the children at the time. Of course, age appropriate, because it's certain conversations that we have now that I couldn't
Right.
have with them
Absolutely.
before.
Right.
I never once told my kids anything negative.
Truth.
I never told them not to speak to their father.
Right.
I never
Right.
taught them to disrespect their
Right.
father.
Right.
But I gave them what? The truth.
The
Right.
truth. That's
The
it.
truth. And so how I dealt with it, I'm grateful for the God that we serve, because that's what held us together as a family. I feel like that was the mold and the foundation for me
Absolutely.
that held my kids together.
Right.
Because my kids were in church, They were musically inclined, and so what I did was I ensured that I kept their gifts going, and we got them into another faith-based church, to help them grow and develop.
Right.
None of them went to therapy, with the exception of one. And I know the reason why that one did go to therapy is because girls are closest to their fathers,
Yeah.
daddy's
Yeah.
girl. So I never wanted her to feel like she's isolated, because it's this myth that moms and their sons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's partial, true. But you love all your kids.
Absolutely.
But when things like that happen, and you spend most of your time with your dad as a young girl, it can take a toll on you. And so there was a time that she came to me and she was like, I want to go to therapy. I didn't ask her no questions what she wanted to talk about.
Right.
I just allowed her to go.
Right.
So sometimes you have to be sensitive, and that's the thing about Christians too. A lot of times we think that, church, we don't need anything else
Right.
but church.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you need outside expert advice,
Yes. Yes.
to help and assist
Absolutely.
to go along with what we
Absolutely.
believe as well.
It's truth.
So that's what it was for us. We I didn't go to therapy, but there's one thing that I did have, and I gotta say it, is that I had a home church. Even though I didn't go all the time, I had a pastor that I could go to and talk to, and she was always open to whatever it was that I had to say. She was not biased. She listened, and she always told me that if there was anything that I ever needed, that I could come to her.
Right.
And I didn't worry her with what I had going on the inside, but I dealt with it one-on-one with God. Even though there were times where I couldn't pray, and there was times that I only cried, I just got on my knees just in reverence of the fact that I needed God to bring me through it.
Yes.
So I'm grateful that that faith-based foundation was what was able to bring myself along with the children, through this difficult time.
Okay. Now, for someone that is not in church, someone doesn't have a pastor to go to, because I believe that this podcast is going to reach people that are not only in church, that watch their family go through a difficult time in divorce, and their children are acting up due to that. What would you suggest to them?
So I would suggest exactly what one of my children did. Reach out to an expert, to a psychologist, someone who is, an expert in the field of divorce. What it is to me is grieving,
Yes.
someone
It's
that
a loss.
The death
It's a
of
loss.
something. Yeah.
yeah, because you
It's
definitely
a death of
feel,
a marriage,
yeah.
death of a family. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I would refer them to a specialist. Go on the internet and look up, counseling,
Yes.
and family counseling and counseling individually.
Yes.
I actually did go to counseling with my child,
Right.
and I was asked to come along. And I did that once or twice.
Okay.
Whatever you need to do to pull yourself out of that rut, that mindset, that space. I think that it could be, people that you trust. Sometimes people just need a listening ear. So it could be, I could talk to you. I could talk to
Yeah,
Nita, Sonia,
yeah,
whoever.
yeah.
People like minds that,
Yeah.
are sound-minded,
Yeah.
that would help and assist, through these
And
times.
sometimes you just need a release. Just talk
Yeah.
it out.
You don't need an answer. You
Yeah,
just need
just
an ear.
just a release.
Yeah.
Because when you're walking around carrying so much emotion, so much, whatever the situation was in your home, is a lot of times is overwhelming, and sometimes you just need to talk it out. Just to release.
And I would even say take a step back from the situation. Because sometimes the things that we encounter, Anita, let's just be real.
Yeah.
There's no answers
Yeah.
to this.
No. No.
It'll sound like really crazy and
Yeah.
absurd, but you know, there's no answer to everything. Sometimes you just have to take yourself out of it
Yeah.
and give yourself time.
And stop reliving it every day.
Yeah.
Because we get inundated
Yeah.
with the situation and we relive it.
Yeah.
Different things that happen, we keep reliving it. And it keeps us in a place.
And I don't know about you, but for me, I had visions. I had of experiences that when I thought that I was hallucinating, and after divorce, I'm having all of these visions and dreams, and I'm like, oh shoot, it happened just like that.
Right,
Yeah,
But
right.
at the time, I didn't know
Yeah.
that what was going on. So I had to really say,
You
all
mean-
right.
Wait a minute. You was having visions of what? You was seeing your marriage over, like things that happened in your marriage that was signs that like this is not working, or you was seeing what were you hallucinating?
So like, okay, I'll
Like you
give
give
an
me
example.
give me an example. You don't have to be exact, but just give me an example. I don't want people to think like, okay, we got hallucinator. She was just talking about praying now. She's hallucinating. So I just want you to like.
No, sometimes you question yourself. And so I'll give you an example. So if I say, if my spouse says, I'm going from here to Manhattan. So
Right.
I say, okay, you're going from here to Manhattan. But I don't know that you're going from here to Manhattan to meet your side chick.
Right,
You
right.
know?
Yeah.
So now after divorce, it's like all of these visions of, now
Yeah.
that's
what
what's
Now your
happening.
eyes are open.
Right. So
Okay,
now
okay.
it's I start
The
to
puzzle is coming
replay
together.
back. Yes.
Yeah.
And that used to make me like nuts. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, now this has got to stop. Like I don't even want to know no more. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
because I'm trying to get past what I've been through,
Absolutely.
and now the truth is really coming out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So Talitha, what is your relationship with your children's father right now?
Setter. Nothing.
Oh, I expect that.
What, you said nada?
Zero.
Yeah. Nothing.
So how long has that been? Since the divorce?
I would say since you can say since the divorce and after. Okay, so divorce was in 2011, and I think maybe we had a conversation in 2018. That was by bedside of his mom when his mom was ill. We had conversation, very limited. We had conversation then, and then when she passed away, we had brief conversations here and there. But I'm a truthful person.
Right.
So I like to keep it funky, keep it real.
Right,
And if you're not gonna
right.
keep it funky and real, I
That's
don't really
it.
want to talk to you. Pop knows.
Right.
We keeps it real.
Yeah.
Right.
I
So,
agree.
That's the reason why I can't talk to him, because if you're not gonna keep it official, then I'm gonna need you to get away from me.
Okay, so you was open to having a decent relationship with him, but because of the non-truth
Right.
and not keeping it real, you decided not to.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
Okay. All right.
We ain't got to
I
it.
get it. I get it. Because
believe what you
sometimes,
say.
I don't
know
wanna
it.
talk.
but what would be your advice to a couple or to a woman in trying to maintain that relationship with that person? What were the efforts? Were there many efforts to try and talk or, to maintain some type of relationship?
So I think that because there are children involved, once the relationship doesn't work out between the husband and the wife, then we know that that's a wash.
Right,
At this point, it's about the children.
right.
So
Right.
that's all I need to talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
What's happening with them? What's
Right.
really good with them?
Right.
What you gonna do for them? Whether
Yeah.
that's financially, emotionally, how are we gonna move forward in ensuring that the lives of these children are secured?
Right.
Right.
And when my efforts failed in that arena, and you make promises and you break them, it's only but so many times I'm gonna allow you to make promises to my children and you don't come through.
Right.
Absolutely.
So they're not gonna be sitting by no door waiting for you,
Yeah.
for you to take them to IHOP at that. This is the truth. Okay, to IHOP at that, and then you don't pull up like they say.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so that's a problem. So when those things happen, and as the kids, get older, and now they're able to say, hey, Dad, how are you? And now you're making arrangements with them, and you're still not following through. It's like, it's no need for me to make no more efforts because they're old enough to make their own decisions as to what they want to do.
Would you say that the reason for your divorce made you a little bit bitter in the beginning?
Was I bitter? I don't think that I was bitter. I still wanted it to work. So I don't think that I was ever bitter.
Okay.
I felt like I was abandoned.
So let's
That's
go.
good.
I like to go a little bit to the beginning before we get to this part. So you did marry this person, right?
Yeah.
And so and I figured this person's personality didn't change once he said I do. I want to know, like, did you see signs in the marriage now that, when you was doing your hallucinating? Did you see signs in the marriage that when it started, like, that you ignored? Because it's young people that, once they fall in love, they think that marriage is the next thing. So I'm saying, you get married, were there signs that you've seen that you ignored for the sake of, I love and I want to get married? Thinking back now that you're divorced, he really didn't change, or she really didn't change. It's the same person you was just ignoring.
So I don't see it as ignoring. I see it that I got together with my ex-husband when I was 16 years old. So people and things are developed over
Right.
time.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to see certain things, right?
Some things are developed over time. Some things, they are that way.
And this is the truth.
Right.
But you
Right.
may not have been mature enough to realize that that
Wait a
thing.
minute, Sonia. Sonia?
Oh.
There's
Pop,
only 2 people here divorced, and one that lived through a divorce as a child.
Pop.
And
that
The
doesn't
experts are
mean,
speaking.
excuse us, Talitha, guest.
Wow.
That doesn't mean that I don't have
so
insight
Shots
on
fired.
this topic, or
Okay.
I can't ask a
okay.
question.
No, I
Pop,
think you was answering the question.
Pop.
I'm sorry.
Damn.
What I'm saying to you,
He's sorry,
because your
Sonia.
point is that. What you said, Anita?
He's sorry.
So sorry.
He will be.
What I'm saying is that even though she was with her ex-husband when she was young,
Right.
and basically you're saying that the signs were there.
No, I'm not saying the signs
Okay.
there. I'm saying that now, looking back, hindsight, did she see, like, he really didn't change? He was always like that. Mm-hmm. He was.
And she got older and mature enough to recognize it. But while she was in it, she may not have known that this was an issue. Like sometimes you be in a relationship with someone and that person, when they eat, they snort or whatever. Something's ridiculous. And you think it's just the cutest thing.
Mm-hmm.
You be like, oh my God, he snorted while he wasn't eating. And you think it's so cute.
And
But
then
then as you get
10
older,
years-
it's no longer
10
cute.
years in the marriage, you
You're
say,
like, would you
still
stop doing that? You still doing that? So, you get together with someone and some things you think is cute is no longer cute when you mature.
Is that true? Tony?
So I think that people talk a good game.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
that, people could have been the same when they were younger. But when you get people one-on-one and they'll say, well, I'm trying to change this, I'm trying to change that, and you see their motivation, what you think is motivation, but it's
Yeah.
really manipulation.
Yes.
And then
Ooh.
you think that they have ambition. You think they have ambition,
But it's manipulation.
but it's manipulation.
Yes.
Because they know who you are, right? So in order to ride this ride, you gotta be this high.
Absolutely.
So you faking it.
Right. So they know.
Yeah.
They know, like, if I want to win,
Yeah.
I'm going to have to say this right here.
Absolutely.
But don't mean it.
But they don't mean it.
Yeah.
And then you start to see the progression of what?
The manipulation of
Yeah.
nothing. Right.
Nothing. The progression of the manipulation.
Right.
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 You know, for me, I think there definitely were signs. But as you said, sometimes you see certain signs, you say, oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Yeah. Look
You
at
know,
him.
But when it becomes consistent, it's no longer cute anymore.
Right.
No, yo, stop. Like, this is not cute anymore. This is not what we're gonna do.
Right.
So for me, I think there was signs. Talitha said that y'all were together 22 years.
Yes.
I was together for 28 years. I was married. My divorce finalized the month before my 25th wedding anniversary. So I was married 24 years. So there were things that, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, that was definitely a sign. And I think in my head, I felt like some of it was going to change as we got older. We were young. So in my head, I'm saying, okay, when we get a little older, this is going to change. This is going to stop.
Right.
But it never did, and it just got increasingly worse.
And stronger.
Yeah.
And you started to learn how to ignore it.
Not necessarily
if it's a
ignore.
spot, like,
Adapt.
it's like,
Adapt to it.
Adapt.
Yeah.
I would say adapt.
Adapt. Not
Okay.
ignore, adapt.
Yeah.
Because, like Talitha, I was always trying to fight to make it work, to make it happen. So, okay, in my head, I'm saying, okay, how can I change me, fix me to make this better?
Yes.
Make this different. Okay, he don't like it this way, so let's change it that way. So I'm in my head, I always felt like, okay, when you love a person, you expect to receive love, especially when everything in you is trying to be good for that person. So you're expecting that person to be like you. Well, I realized that because that's who I am and how I am, that doesn't mean everybody's just like me.
Right.
So therefore, in hindsight, yeah, there was definite signs for me that I totally just ignored. I said, we'll grow up and, we'll develop our life together and some of this stuff will change because, I'm trying to make him happy. He's supposed to be trying to make me happy and it's just going to work. And so it was a fairy tale for me,
So,
What, Pop?
do you
Jesus
feel
Christ.
that in the manipulation period that you lost yourself
Absolutely.
in adapting?
Absolutely.
I can agree to that.
Absolutely.
So that's why now.
Now it's all about me.
Now,
Just so you
no.
know.
I'm saying that's why. Okay. That's why, like you were saying earlier, after the divorce, you had to find yourself again. You looked at the room. The room was clear. You had to start looking at bungee jumping and all those things because you lost yourself. So you had to find yourself, who you are as an adult now, or as an older person now.
Absolutely.
As a
because I
single
felt-
woman
Yeah.
now.
As a single
Yeah.
woman
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
children now.
With
These are the
children.
things
Yeah.
you didn't have when you first got married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I
that-
felt like love was unconditional, and
Yeah.
it should be unconditional.
Right.
So there was nothing that he could do to make me stop loving him.
Right.
So I would try
Right.
everything
Right.
to make things work.
Yep.
And in that, you lose who you are.
Absolutely.
Where you want to go, you're going over here because that's where he wants to go.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or we're taking a trip over here because that's where he wants to visit. That's on his bucket list.
You say that you started to love him so much that you kind of stopped loving yourself?
That is true.
Yeah.
That
To a
is
certain
that's true
extent.
to an extent. Yeah.
To a certain extent, because as wives, as mothers, our whole focus, and I'm not saying every mother and every wife is like this, but I know that for me, everything was about my kids. Everything was about my husband. Everything was about my family. I don't care about nothing else. My everything was about what I got at home. So everything I did was about them. It was never about Anita, and it was not for selfish gain. It was no selfish intent. This is who I am. I love these people. And I feel like when you love a person, you go above and beyond to make sure that person is good. And that's what I did. But my brother-in-law posted something on Facebook, and it said, you can never love a person enough to make them love you. Ooh. And I was like,
Just say that again,
Wow.
slower.
slower.
Yeah.
You can never love a person enough to cause them to love you. I don't care how much you love a person. That is not going to make them love you.
Right.
I
That
swear I
was
hear
the-
music when you're talking, Anita. I be hearing music
Yo,
like
man.
violins.
Violin?
You don't hear it? You don't hear it, Anita? I swear I hear music. Yeah.
It's the passion.
Yeah,
I hear the heart. You can never.
absolutely.
So, at this point, Truth Nation, we going to close this session out with Talitha, and we're definitely going to come back and have some other questions for her, because definitely this is a more in-depth topic, because we really want to know how she's dealing with living as a single woman now in the dating fields and her experiences and the oops and the oh my god we definitely want to get into that because that's real. Because me as a widower, being single out here now, trying to figure it out, dating and the games is out here, and I guess at some point Anita's going to be
At some point, I
experiencing
guess.
that. So we want to hear from you. So Truth Nation, if you have any questions or you have a comment about this topic, please email us at truthisthirteeneleven@gmail.com or have a comment on the YouTube page or question. And we'll see you soon, and we'll be back with Talitha. Please, whatever you do, hit subscribe, share, like, do whatever you need to do to get us out there, because we believe we have something to say. So thank you so much.